Good morning, everyone. So yes, like Prof said, I presented yesterday, and on the level at which I can present my study to you today, it's not much different from yesterday. So now's a good time to check your email if you were here yesterday. But yes, please bear with me. So the project I will be presenting to you is titled An Economic Analysis of Farm Profitability Related to New Deciduous Fruit Cultivar Choice. And yes, I'm doing this for plums and for apples. And also, like Prof said, so many of you in this room were involved in this process. So this is actually just, this is the result of all of our research efforts. Okay. So the project forms part of an MSc in Agricultural Economics, and Dr. Willem Hofman from the Department of Agricultural Economics at Stellenbosch is the supervisor, and Dr. Ivan Labuschagne, CEO of Provar, is the co-supervisor for this project. Now, Provar initiated this project in 2021 when the idea was presented of quantifying the financial impact of cultivar characteristics. A very great motivating theme for the project was then the optimal use of resources, as the economic climate we find ourselves in is one where there is little tolerance for products of marginal quality or waste in any form. Making the wrong planting decision can lead to immense losses. Now, deciding which cultivar to plant in an environment where you have a long list of dynamic factors related to everything from the market environment to the natural environment, and then to make sure that that decision is suitable for the 20-year lifetime of your orchard is an immense decision-making burden placed on producers. With this as motivation, we built a decision-making tool for plum cultivar choice to ease the process of decision-making. Using a whole farm budget model as framework, I constructed a user-friendly simulation model that allows for scenario development of alternative cultivar mixes. A systems approach is being used to capture the interaction of different components of the farming system and not ignore the complexity of the system. This is also why the whole farm budget model was the best framework to use, because this model contains numerous enterprise budgets allowing to simulate different cultivar mixes within your farming system. The cultivar characteristics suitable for inclusion in the model had to be identified, and that is where all of my participators in this process comes in. Rather than sit on my own and think, what are the deal breakers in cultivar choice, I turned to the experts in our industry by using a participatory modeling process. And I asked them how they make a planting decision, because they have, of course, been dealing with the process of the problem of planting choice far longer than I have. Now, not all of the characteristics from this interview process were suitable for inclusion in a multi-period budget, and so a process of practical consideration was necessary. And this process categorized certain characteristics to be vital to take into account in the decision-making process, but to act as purely descriptive indicators in the model for now, whereas other cultivar characteristics were much easier to translate into having a long-term financial impact. For my interview process, a multi-perspective approach was used, and this meant that I couldn't use the results from this process for statistical analysis, and subsequently, a next step was necessitated. This step was the academic validation of the model, and it was a Delphi expert panel that had to gather to evaluate and confirm the logic behind the structuring of horticultural cultivar characteristics in the budget model. If any of my assumptions or calculations were incorrect, they had to suggest corrections, and then at the end of the day, the whole group had to reach a consensus regarding the correctness of the characteristics for the purposes of the model. Although the Plum Delphi panel gathered on the 21st of April, I don't have conclusive results to show you today because, as I mentioned, the apple process is kind of taking place at the same time, and their gathering only took place about a week ago. I now have to calibrate my models according to the feedback from the expert panels and then test them through a few rounds of scenario development. Now, the relevance to industry is quite simple, and I already mentioned it. All of this is being done to reduce waste and reduce the probability of incorrect planting choices. From some of the other presentations we have here today, such as what my own colleagues presented on the adaptability study and what Heinrich presented, it is clear that we're spending quite a lot of resources into researching differences between cultivars, and this model that I built is basically just a simulation tool that is receptive to this data to make the whole process of making a planting decision easier. And it's also built in such a way that it is accessible to almost anyone. And yes, the take-home message of all of this is the direct and associated opportunity cost of cultivar choice is not something that anyone can decide on lightly. Please feel free to contact me if you want to talk more about this. I would like to, again, to thank all collaborators. Thank you, Hortgrow, for making this project possible through funding it, and to my supervisors for guidance, and then a special thanks to my colleagues at Provar for their constant support through this process.